And we are live on YouTube.
Awesome. All right, welcome to our reading of Outlander. This is Sassenach, the first episode, pilot episode, so to speak, of a 8-season show. And we'll mostly see the character of Claire, an ex-army nurse, field nurse, who manages to, about 5 years after the end of World War II, find herself transported somehow to about 1740s Scotland, and adventures therefore ensue. So I won't give any more spoilers other than that. Because she does have most of the lines, we have split the role of Claire between three folks, and then everyone will be taking a turn playing multiple characters too. So we'll have a good time with this one. This is a very, very good episode, and I can't help but liking anything that takes place in Scotland. So we're going to do some some introductions of our cast today, and we will go ahead and just start with Vicky.
Hello, I'm Vicky Dykes. I live in Penhold, Alberta, up in Canada. My pronouns are she, her. Today I will be playing Frank, Captain Jack Randall. I'm the wounded soldier at the beginning, and I'm doing a couple of rounds of actions and descriptions. You can find me on social media. I'm on Facebook under the name Vicky Dykes, and I'm also on Instagram. I'm YogaGramma10, and I'm on Threads as YogaGramma10.
Awesome. Aubrey, if you're ready. Yeah, you.
Yes. Hi. Hello. I'm Aubrey. Aubrey McCoy. My pronouns are, you can, honestly, you can really call me any pronouns. I will answer any and all. My location is Northern California. I will be playing, I have a few, Nurse, Miss Graham, action descriptions, Murtaugh, and Claire, number 3.
Awesome. All right, let's go with Chris next.
Hello. My name is Chris Diaz. I am from Fairfield, Connecticut. And you can find my letterbox face for everything by Chris Diaz. And then, I am playing. Let me pull up Soldier 1, Soldier 2, Reverend Wakefield, Rupert Nettie. I love Outlander, big fan of the book and TV show. Happy to be doing it for you guys. And I have the book right here.
Oh, there you go. Look at that. Awesome. I'll make sure to read the book soon. Just got a chance to watch that first episode, so that'd be really fun. And we can put that in our discussion hopefully afterwards. But let's see. Next up is Athena.
Hi, I'm Athena. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I am from the greater Seattle region, and I will be doing a reading for Soldier 2, Mrs. Baird, a couple actions and descriptions, as well as Claire number 2.
Awesome. Do you want to share social media?
I don't have any set up. Yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate it, but no.
Okay. All right. Then Sandy.
Hi, my name is Sandy Roth. My pronouns are she, her. My location is Colorado Springs, Colorado. I'm playing Claire 1, action and description, and Dougal, I believe. And let's see. My social media is Sandy Roth, and I do reads myself. So if you're interested, just hit me up and we'll get you started.
Awesome. And I am Kat Wilson, she, her, out of Gig Harbor, Washington. I'll be starting off the actions and descriptions this evening, playing one role as a doctor, and then you'll catch me near the end of the script as Jamie. We'll have to test out my Scottish accent here. All right. I think that. Oh, and if you find me to look for me on social media, you can go to the other group I host, which is Two Households in Fair Corona. It's a Shakespeare reading group. So, been doing that for a while. All right, I think that's all. So we're gonna.
Quick question. You have me and has Soldier 2. So who is Soldier 2? Because you have.
Do I have it down twice?
Yeah.
I'm listed for Soldier 2 in pages 1 through 12.
Let me take a look. Oh, you're right. I do have it in two places. I don't know why I have it that way. Let me, let's see, one sec here. What do I have up here? Oh yeah. So Athena, go ahead and take that one then, and that way you're not
And I
talking
take
to each
children
other.
one.
So yep.
No? Good.
All right, good catch. That's what happens when you make the cast list at the last minute and you're half asleep. So, all right. Let me pull up our script here then, and we'll get started with our read. Let's see, share and share. All right. Is that large enough size for folks? Just kind of scrolling through here. Does that look okay?
It's okay for me.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks good.
All right. Then we'll start. Outlander, Sassenach by Ronald D. Moore, based on the novel by Diana Gabaldon. Revised network draft, April 19th, 2013. Fade in on a woman's legs, running through the woods, dressed in a thin cotton dress.
People disappear all the time.
Tree branches lash at her, but we still can't see her face as she crashes through the underbrush.
Young girls run away from home. Children stray from their parents and are never seen again. Housewives take the grocery money and a taxi to the train station.
She nearly falls. Her hand reaches out at the last second and saves herself with a tree branch.
Most are found eventually. Disappearances, after all, have explanations.
She tries to catch her breath, her hand trembling on the branch.
Usually.
Suddenly, a pair of hands grabs her from behind. Cut to black. Fade in on an exterior village street dusk. Claire Randall, 27, stands on a cobblestone street in a small village in post-war Scotland. Dressed in modest, warm clothes, her forever unruly curls cascading over her features in a brisk wind, she stares at a shop window filled with household goods, embroidered tea-cloths and cozies, pitchers and glasses, a stack of pie tins, and a set of 3 vases.
Strange the things you remember, the simple images and feelings that stay with you down through the years. Like looking at a shop window with the sudden realization that you've never seen, that you've never owned a vase in your entire life, that you've never lived in any one place long enough to justify having such a thing. And how at that moment, pardon me, sorry, I'm having trouble with my computer.
No worries.
You want nothing so much in all the world as to have a vase of your very own.
She stares at the blue patterned vase in the window. The shop is closed.
Even now, I can recall every detail of standing outside that shop in Scotland.
Claire finally wraps her coat tighter around her body and walks down the street. Thunder rolls somewhere in the distance.
It was a Wednesday afternoon, 11 months after the end of the war.
Interior Field Hospital Day. Screams of agony filled the tent as British soldiers try to hold down another badly wounded soldier. British Army nurse Claire Randall calmly goes about cutting off the remnants of the wounded man's pants, exposing the horrible mangled legs, with jagged bones cutting through grievous lacerations. In the background, the triage tent is filled with cots and rough pallets, all jammed with the wounded.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh dear Jesus!
Where's the bloody doctor?
Suddenly, a spray of blood splashes across Claire and the other soldiers. The wounded man jerks and spasms.
Hold him, you hear me? Hold him right now.
Claire grabs a clamp from a crash tray and then works to reach deep inside the man's lacerated thigh as he screams his lungs out. The soldiers hold him tight.
I have to clamp the femoral artery or he'll bleed out.
Come on, Jackie boy. It's all right. You're going home. You're going home.
Claire grimaces, fights, and finally gets her fingers on the artery and clamps it off. The spray of blood stops. An army doctor, 30s, finally rushes over to the table with a hypodermic needle of morphine, which he injects into the man. The soldier sags back on the table as the drug kicks in. We've got him now. On your way. The soldiers step back from their friend.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you.
No thanks for Claire, who saved the man's life, but she neither notices nor cares, too busy working on her patient. Exterior, field hospital day, later. Gunshots are heard as Claire steps outside the tent with cheeks as gray as the overcast sky, eyes red-rimmed and glassy, exhaustion etched in every inch of her face. The sound of random gunfire continues as she stands in her blood-splattered clothes outside the tent for a moment, numbly trying to understand what she sees off camera. New angle. The nurses are kissing soldiers. Soldiers are hugging soldiers, and a few of them are firing wildly into the air with automatic weapons. Someone has scrounged up bottles of wine and champagne, and people are spraying them over one another and drinking greedily. Another nurse happens by, her arms draped around a soldier and a bottle in her hand. Did I forget to cast the nurse?
No, you didn't.
Okay.
Claire, did you hear? It's over. It's really finally over.
She hands Claire the bottle. Claire takes a long drink, but she's too tired and strung out to do anything else but stare at the revelers. Hold on her exhausted, glass-eyed face for a moment. Exterior, Scottish Highlands, road, wide, day. Mountains crowd the frame like massive soldiers as an open-topped car bounces and careens down the narrow road.
We were in Scotland on our second honeymoon, or at least that's what Frank called it. A way to celebrate the end of the war years and begin our lives anew. But it was more than that.
Exterior, Mrs. Baird's bed and breakfast dusk. As evening falls, a Randall car is parked outside the modest inn. Claire makes her way up the path while her husband, Frank Randall, 30s, carries in the luggage.
We didn't discuss it, but I think we both felt a holiday would serve as a convenient masquerade for the real business of getting to know the people we had become after 6 years apart.
Frank stops on the threshold and peers at the sill.
Now, what do you suppose that is?
Claire moves for a closer look.
Good Lord, it's blood.
Are you sure?
I should think now I know the look of blood by now.
Oh, there's a stain just like on the house door. And the next. Oh, we seem to be surrounded by homes marked with blood.
They look about for a moment at the darkened door sills. The street is empty at the moment, and the quiet feels unnatural, disturbing. Claire finally breaks the tension.
Perhaps Pharaoh has refused Moses, and the spirit of death will travel in streets of Inverness this night, sparing only those who mark their doors with lamb's blood.
Oh, you may be closer than you think. This could well be part of a sacrificial ritual. But pagan rather than Hebrew.
I had no idea Inverness was such a hotbed of contemporary paganism.
My dear, I think you'll find there's no place on earth with more magic and superstition mixed into its daily life than the Scottish Highlands.
Frank grins and opens the door, and Claire gingerly steps over the stain before entering the inn. Linger a moment on the blood. Interior, Mrs. Baird's bed and breakfast, foyer, dusk. A few minutes later, Frank fills out the registry book while Claire looks around. Mrs. Baird, 60s, a squat and easygoing woman, sets up their account and fetches the room key.
When a new house is built in these parts, the custom, since far back in the old days, is to kill something and bury it under the foundation. The blood you saw is that of a black cock. The houses on this street being what you call your prefab homes. The new residents are only just now having the chance to honor the old ways.
She drops her voice as if sharing an intimacy.
Some folks in these parts believe that the late war was due to people turning away from their roots and omitting to take proper precautions, such as burying a sacrifice under the foundation.
Or burning fish bones on the hearth.
Excepting haddocks, of course.
Never burn a haddock's bones, or you'll never catch another.
They share a laugh.
Please don't encourage him, Mrs. Baird. My husband is a historian and could easily stand here all day trading ancient aphorisms.
A historian, is it? Are you Professor Randall? Are you Professor then, Mr. Randall?
Not officially, but soon.
He has accepted a post at Oxford beginning in 2 weeks.
Then this is the last holiday before settling down to the workaday life again, is it? Well, you picked a bonny time to be here, just nigh of the Beltane Festival.
One of the 4 pagan sun feasts, Beltane being the feast of the spring equinox.
You'll both be welcome, of course, but mind you, the ghosts are freed on the feast days and they'll be wandering about, free to do good or ill as they please.
Ghosts?
Oh, sure now, lassie. Like up at Mount Gerald, the big house at the top of High Street. Aye, there's a ghost, a workman killed in the 18th century as a sacrifice for the foundation.
Mrs. Baird leans forward over the wooden counter, warming to her subject as she tells an old ghost story to the young couple in the parlor.
The story goes that by order of the house's owner, one wall was built up first, you see. Then a stone block was dropped from the top of it straight onto one of the workmen. They buried him in the cellar and the rest of the house built up over him. To this day, he haunts the cellar where he was killed, excepting on Beltane, when he's freed to walk the streets of Inverness once more. A word to the wise. Be careful after dark.
She just lets that hang in the air for a beat, leaving Claire and Frank unsure for a moment whether they're being had. But then it dawns on them that she's perfectly serious. Frank finds his voice first.
Well, thank you, Mrs. Baird. We'll keep that in mind.
You'll have the room up the stairs and first door to the left. Breakfast is at 7 and tea at 3.
Thank you. Oh, and I was also wondering if you knew of anyone in the village with knowledge of the plants in the area. I have a particular interest in medicinal herbs, and I'll be interested in learning about the local varieties.
I should introduce you to Mr. Crook. He knows all about the plants in the area. I'm sure he'd be more than happy to show you.
Thank you again.
Claire and Frank head toward the stairs. Interior, Mrs. Baird's second-floor landing, their room, dusk. Moments later, Frank carries a luggage as Claire unlocks the door and lets them into their modest if well-kept room. We might notice that Frank and Claire automatically separate soon after entering the room, and that there's almost always a physical distance between them in any given space.
Not without its charm, certainly.
Beats an army caught in a tent in the mud.
Frank drops the luggage and sits on the bed. It gives a loud squeak.
Oh, so much for marital privacy.
Claire smiles from across the room as he bounces a little, and the bed gives out progressively louder and more emphatic squeaks.
You think the sound carries?
I think it's safe to say Mrs. Baird will be kept apprised at any renewed attempts to start a family.
Claire pops herself down beside him.
Lazy bones. You'll never manage the next branch in your family tree unless you show a bit more industry than that.
Claire begins energetically bouncing up and down. Frank grins, and in a flash, the two of them are in danger of breaking the rickety bed as it groans and shrieks. Interior foyer dusk. Mrs. Baird pauses in her work as the sounds coming down through the ceiling over the head. She raises an eyebrow and goes back to work. Interior, Claire and Frank's room day. They're laughing and bouncing on the bed. They stop after a moment, and Claire regards him tenderly.
You know, one of those things I used to try and remember lying in my cot in the mud. What's the sound of my husband's laugh? I couldn't conjure it no matter what I did. I couldn't hear it even though I'd had 1,000,000 times before. Strangest thing.
Frank takes her hand, opens the palm.
I used to sketch this.
My hand?
The lines. Why exactly, I'm not sure, but I had a very clear memory of this pattern. Made little doodles everywhere. A brigadier once dressed me down because I'd somehow managed to draw them in the margin of a report for the minister.
Frank chuckles, and then brings her hand to his lips, and in a moment they're kissing.
Now that we know the bed will stand the strain.
He gasps as her hand is suddenly inside his trousers. He fumbles with her blouse, but Claire has taken charge here, and she has him, literally, in the palm of her hand.
Let's dispense with the preliminaries.
She hikes up her skirt and climbs on top of him. Frank gasps as he enters her. Claire has her blouse and bra off in a flash, and she guides his hands to her breasts.
Wait, now.
He pinches them hard, and now it's her turn to gasp. She begins rocking back and forth with increasing speed and urgency. Interior foyer, day. Mrs. Baird is cleaning some glasses when the sound from upstairs resumes. This time it's slower, more rhythmic, somehow, sexier. Mrs. Baird reacts with a secret smile. Interior, exterior, interior, Frank's car, moving day. The next day, Claire's curls, unruly at the best of times, are blown into utter chaos by the wind as Frank drives. She's smiling, happy.
Frank's passion for history was another reason for choosing the Highlands.
Frank points out a passing rock formation shaped like a rooster's tail.
Ooh, Cocknaman Rock. Oh, during the 17th and 18th centuries, you'd have often found a British Army patrol lying there in wait for Scottish brigands or rebels. Oh, you see how the position commands the high ground in every direction?
Claire tries to look interested.
Not that I minded. I was raised by my uncle after the death of my parents.
Exterior Middle East, archaeological dig, day, flashback. The dig is somewhere in the desert, with a team of British and native workers carefully uncovering the remains of an ancient building. Young Claire, age 11, brings her Uncle Lamb, 40s, a kit containing several specialized brushes.
Uncle Lamb was an archaeologist, so I'd spent the balance of my formative years traipsing through dusty ruins and various excavations throughout the world.
Uncle Lamb uses the brushes to begin whisking away dirt from the delicate structure they're uncovering.
I learned to dig latrines and boil water, and to do a number of other things not suitable for a young lady of gentle birth.
Young Claire then produces and lights a cigarette with a plum before deftly handing it to her uncle, who nods his thanks absently and takes a deep, grateful drag. Interior English Library, day, flashback. An archaeologist's library overflowing with books and papers in a London townhouse. A slightly older Uncle Lamb stands up to greet Frank as he comes in through the door. Same Claire.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. I thought that 12 was okay. And then one day, a handsome, dark-haired historian came to consult my uncle on a point of French philosophy as it related to
Did you get... Oh, it looks like she's frozen.
Can you not hear?
We lost you at the word philosophy. Claire, now in her early 20s, steps
can you hear
out
me?
from behind... Yeah, now we can hear you. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Claire, now in her early 20s, steps out from behind a stack of books, carrying a heavy tome. She sees Frank and he sees her, and there's a small but clear flash of electricity between them.
I was smitten from the first, and remain smitten even though the long years apart.
Exterior, Castle Leoch, day. This is where we switch A and D, but keep the same Claire.
The Randall car is parked outside the picturesque ruins of the medieval Scottish castle. Frank walks the narrow ledge nearby, making notes in a small journal, while Claire makes her own way along the same grounds, examining the local flora. Again, they're in the same location, but in different places. The structure is abandoned, with weeds and grasses encroaching on what were once neatly kept grounds.
While I was with the army, Frank had served in London, MI6, overseeing spies, running covert operations, that sort of thing. In 6 years, we'd see each other a grand total of 10 days.
From what I've been able to gather, Castle Leoch was the ancestral home of the Mackenzie clan until midway through the 19th century.
Interior, Castle Leoch, Great Hall, day. Later, bounded on either end by large archways, the room once served as a meeting hall, dining room, ballroom, etc. Whatever furniture it once held is long gone, along with the window panes and most of the decoration. What remains is the dimly illuminated by narrow shafts of daylight.
Sandy, we can't hear you.
I'm sorry, is this still me?
It's still
I'm
you.
sorry, what page am I up to? I
You're
apologize.
up to page 20. I was just about to mention that in the chat.
Oh, okay. Good. All right. All right. Frank's newfound passion was just... Did you hear me?
Claire picks her way among the dirt and debris while Frank moves about, animatedly gesturing and chattering about the life that once filled the space.
I haven't found any hard evidence that my ancestor actually visited this castle, mind you, but it was within his operational sphere of activities, and it is just possible that he did walk this very hall on occasion.
He'd become fascinated with tracing and exploring the various branches of his family tree. From what I gathered, some tiresome ancestor of Frank's had something to do with something or other in this region back a couple of centuries ago.
Interior, Castle Leoch, surgery, day. Later, Frank puts his shoulder to an ancient wooden door, but it won't budge. Claire pitches in, and the two of them shove open a dusty door to a lower room in the castle. They step into the room, but it's hard to see anything in the gloomy interior. A single flash of light comes from a high split window, and all they can make out is a high-ceilinged space crammed with broken furniture and junk. Frank roams the room, somewhat disappointed. Claire lingers near.
Oh, just a storeroom at this point, I'm afraid. I was hoping for something a little more indicative of its original purpose.
In a way, burying himself in the distant past gave Frank an ability to escape the recent. I knew he sent dozens of men behind the lines on secret missions during the war, and that most never came back. He didn't talk about it very often, but I knew it preyed on him, the responsibility for the deaths of so many. From the lack of proper lighting and ventilation, I'd imagine this was the province of the castle hermit, or perhaps a troll or two.
I don't believe trolls lived in pairs, my dear. Solitary creatures, them.
More's the pity. All this and no one to share it with.
Frank flashes a quick grin, which crinkles the corners of his eyes in a dashing way. He's quite handsome, even in this light, and Claire feels that rush of attraction for him once more. She pushes some junk off a tabletop and sits on it.
Oh, you'll get dirty.
You can give me a bath.
She hikes up her dress, then cocks an eyebrow. He smiles and crosses the room toward her.
Why, Mrs. Randall, I do believe you forgot your undergarments at home.
She grins as she pulls his head down between her legs. Wider, the castle. Framed by the morning sun, its shadow extends far across the rolling hills and fields. Exterior, vicarage, day, afternoon. The manse of the vicar is over a century old and sits close to his church. Dark clouds are settling in on the horizon. A storm appears to be on the way. Interior, vicar's study, day. Frank pores over various documents on a desk. Enormous windows let in a flood of nearly blinding light into the study, which is currently overflowing with books, documents, maps, and sheets after sheet of aging yellowed paper covering virtually every surface.
Before the war, we were inseparable, but now the war was over, and yet we were still separated somehow. Not physically, perhaps, but apart just the same.
Fine. Claire's sitting in a comfortable chair, idly watching from across the room. Frank suddenly reacts.
Yes! Oh, there he is! I found him.
Reveal. The Reverend Wakefield, 50s, short, tubby, working in a different section of the library.
Indeed. Let us have a look.
The Reverend Wakefield, vicar of the local parish, shared Frank's passion for genealogy. Several long nights were spent here in hopes that one of them might suddenly unearth a baptismal certificate or some other scrap of paper related to the notorious ancestor.
Claire rouses herself from the chair and makes her way through the debris to where the two men are excitedly spreading out scraps of paper.
Him? You mean Walter, was it?
Jonathan, you remember, surely.
Remind me, dear.
Jonathan Wolverton Randall, a captain of dragoons, mounted infantry in the Royal Army.
Right. Black Jack Randall, I've heard you call him.
A rather dashing nickname he acquired in the army, probably when he was stationed here in the 1740s. What the Reverend has discovered is a whole series of army dispatches that mention Captain Randall by name.
Fascinating.
Isn't it?
It appears he was in command of the garrison at Fort William for 4 years or so. He has spent quite a bit of his time harassing the Scottish countryside above the border on behalf of the crown.
He was hardly alone in that endeavor. The English were rather notably unpopular throughout the Highlands in the 18th century.
And well into the 20th, it would seem. I distinctly heard the barman at that pub last night refer to us as Sassenachs.
I do hope you don't take offense. It only me Englishmen, after all, are at worst outlanders.
A housekeeper, Mrs. Graham, 60s, enters, carrying a tray of tea and biscuits.
I think that might be me, but I don't remember.
That's you, Aubrey.
Oh, that's me. I brought you a wee bit of refreshments, gentlemen. I brought you 2 cups for. I thought that perhaps Mr. Randall would care to join me in the kitchen for a bit of.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Oh, good.
Grateful for the reprieve from history lessons and moldering scraps of paper, Claire gives Frank a quick kiss and then is out the door with the housekeeper. Interior, Vicar's kitchen, day. A few minutes later, Claire sits at the table, sipping tea.
It's been quite a while since I've tasted oolong.
I couldn't get it during the war. It's best for the readings, though. Had a terrible time with Earl Grey. The leaves fell apart so fast, it's hard to tell anything else. At all.
You read tea leaves, then?
I certainly I do, my dear. Just as my grandmother taught me, and her grandmother before her. Drink your cup, and I'll see what you have there.
Moments later, Mrs. Graham is examining the leaves at the bottom of Claire's cup with a serious expression. Finally, she sets it down carefully, as if it might explode.
Am I going to meet a tall, dark stranger or take a journey across the sea?
Could be, or could not. Everything is in its contradictory. There's the carved leaf for the journey, but it's crossed by the broken one that means staying put. And strangers there are, to be sure, several of them, and one of them's your husband, if I read the leaves right. Let me see your hand, child.
Claire's amusement fades somewhat at Mrs.
Hmm.
Graham's serious expression as she examines Claire's hand closely.
Hmm.
A long, quiet moment before she speaks again.
Odd. Most hands have a likeness to them. Mind, I've known just say that it's see one, you've seen them all. But it's often like that. They are patterns, you know. But this is not a pattern I've seen before. The large thumb now means you're strong-minded and have a wheel not easily crossed. Reckon your husband could have told you that. There's
Regarding the face of
Montevenus.
Claire.
In the man. You'd say it means the likes of the lasses. For women, it's a bit different. To be polite about it, I'd say your husband is not like to stray far from your bed.
The elderly woman gives a bawdy chuckle and Claire blushes slightly. Graham goes back to her examination.
The lifeline's interrupted. A bit more chopped up than I usually see, all bits and pieces. Marriage line is divided, means 2 marriages. Does not mean anything like that happened to you, good man. It's only that if it did, you'd not be one to pine away and rest for the rest of your life in mourning. You'd married again. My most divided lines are broken. Yours is forked.
There's something in the way she says it, something hushed and disquieting that raises the hairs on Claire's neck. But before she can pursue the matter, Reverend Wakefield and Frank comes bashing into the kitchen, carrying the tea tray and cups with a great clatter.
But you bet your ancestor had a patron, a prominent and powerful man who could protect him for centuries superior.
Possibly. It would have been someone high up in the hierarchy of the time to exert that kind of influence. The Duke of Sandringham!
The Duke of Sandringham!
Mrs. Graham is up on her feet and seizing the tea tray and cups from danger.
None of that. None of that. Stand clear before you do some permanent damage.
Yes, my apology, Miss Graham. I completely forgot myself in the excitement.
Claire, I think we're on to something at last.
I'm so glad to hear it, but I think I shall take my leave.
So soon?
Yes,
Yes.
I think a good bath.
Is well in order.
Of course. I hope you will join us for the Feast of Belton tomorrow night.
The pagan festival? Why, Reverend Wakefield, you do astonish me.
I love a good ghost story, and much as the next fellow. And the earthly state of light with tales of ghosts and spirits, suddenly free to roam about the mortal realm as they will.
You make it sound positively spooky. In that case, I look forward to sharing the warmth of your tables while hordes of Scottish specters roam the land outside. Take your time, but do try to make it back before the storm breaks.
Frank's lost, searching through the papers in his hands, and barely registers that she's leaving.
Yes, right.
She gives him a quick peck on the cheek and then exits. Aubrey, your turn for A&D.
Yes. Exterior, village street, dusk. Claire walks along the street as the weather turns nasty and an icy wind blows her hair into shambles.
I never, for an instant, considered leaving Frank. I loved him still, and I knew he loved me.
She stops in front of a shop window, and we realize we've returned to the exact moment Claire is standing in front of that shop window staring at the vases.
If the Second World War had taught me anything, it was the value of steadfastness in the face of hardship.
Interior passenger train, moving, day, flashback. Uncle Lamb playing cards across from young Claire in a small compartment as the world passes just outside. Lamb is carrying in vain trying. Excuse me. Sorry. Lamb is trying in vain to get her to do something with her cards.
My uncle once tried to teach me poker, but I refused to trade any of my cards for new ones. It seemed wrong, cheating even, to change just because I didn't like what I've been dealt.
Young Claire remains impressive in the face of her uncle's entreaties, and he finally throws down his cards in defeat. Exterior village street, dusk. Claire bundles herself more tightly against the wind and walks away from the shop window.
I would play the cards in my hand.
Interior Mr. Baird's bed and breakfast, Claire's room, night. Claire sits before the mirror, brushing her hair with dubious results, the curls refusing to behave despite her efforts. She glares at the mirror.
Jesus H. Roosevelt Christ.
Exterior village street, night. Frank is coming up the street towards the B&B as the first drops of rain begin to fall. He pulls his lapels tighter about him and quickens his step, but the cobblestones are now slick and treacherous. He nearly falls at one point, has to grab a lamppost to keep his footing, then freezes in place, staring into the gloom at a figure. In the distance, standing at the edge of the garden at the B&B by the fence. His features are indistinct, a combination of the distance and the gloom of night. But Frank can tell he's looking up at Claire, who can clearly be seen in the upper window, struggling with her hair in the mirror. Frank strides across the street to confront the figure. As he approaches, he can make out more details. Tall, wearing a loose shirt, folded plaid over his shoulder, kilt and sporran.
Can I help you? I say, you there. Can I help you with something?
No response. The rain is coming down in sheets as Frank reaches out for the man, who abruptly turns and brushes past Frank into the night. Startled, Frank looks around. Where'd he go? How did he disappear so quickly? Suddenly there's a crash of lightning nearby, and the power goes out in the village. Interior, Mrs. Baird's bed and breakfast, Claire's room, night. Claire. Oh, excuse me. Ah. Claire has lit candles in the small room just as Frank throws open the door, allowing a draft to blow in as well, extinguishing a few of the candles. Claire relates them.
Someday, you might possibly consider entering a room with something less than the momentum of a Sherman tank.
He doesn't answer, and Claire looks up at him.
What's the matter? Looks like you've seen a ghost.
As a matter of fact, I'm not at all sure that I haven't.
Don't tell me you've seen Mrs. Baird's crushed workmen wandering the streets.
No, this was something else.
Claire is pouring them short glasses of whiskey while Frank gets out of his wet clothes. Outside, the storm is blowing hard now, rain pelting the window.
Looking at me? Are you sure?
Quite. We could both see you clearly brushing your hair.
Punishing my hair would be more accurate. What did this fellow look like?
Big chap, a Scot, in complete Highland rig-out, complete to sporran and running stag brooch on his plaid. I only got a glimpse of his face, but he seemed terribly unhappy about something. And when he pushed past me, he was close enough that I should have felt him brush my sleeve as he passed. But I didn't. I turned around to say something, but he was gone, vanished. That's when I began to feel a bit cold down the backbone.
A disquieting moment.
Well, that is spooky.
Claire shakes it off, down the rest of her drink, and gathers the glasses to refill them.
Did you have many Scots in your charge during the war, Claire?
Oh, quite a few. I remember one, a crusty old thing, really, a piper from the 3rd Seaforths who couldn't stand being stuck with a needle.
She trails off as she makes a realization.
Is it you're asking me, Frank?
When I saw that chap staring up at you, I thought that he might be someone you had nursed. I mean, someone who might be looking for you now to reconnect.
Reconnect?
Claire, it was 6 years. It wouldn't be unusual if, I mean, well, everyone knows doctors and nurses are under tremendous stress in the combat theater, and it's just that, well, it wouldn't be surprising if something had,
Claire is on her feet with fury.
think I've been unfaithful, do you? Because if so, you can leave this room this instant. Leave the house altogether.
Oh, darling.
Don't you dare touch me. A strange man looks up at my window and you take it as evidence that I've had an affair with one of my patients? Is that what you think of me?
No.
Despite her protestations, Frank puts his arms around her, but Claire remains stiff as a board.
No, I don't think any such thing, Claire. I only meant to say that even if you ever did, it would make no difference to me. I love you so. Nothing you ever did could stop my loving you.
A moment, then Claire puts her arms around him.
Forgive me?
Lightning flashes outside the window as Frank kisses her neck, and Claire softens.
The quality of mercy is not strained. It droppeth as the gentle dew from heaven.
Claire's skirt then droppeth to the floor. This time the lovemaking is tender, comfortable, enjoyable. Claire is unabashed with her body and her sensuality, perfectly comfortable making her desires known and more than willing to satisfy her partner. Frank is more conventional, a little reserved in contrast to his more ravenous wife, but game to try and keep up with her. When it is over, Claire rests her head on Frank's chest as they lie amid the wreckage of the sheets.
Sex was our bridge back to one another, the one place we always met. Whatever obstacles presented themselves during the day or night, we could seek out and find each other again in bed. As long as we had that, I had faith everything would work out.
Her eyes begin to flutter, nearly dozing off, but Frank reaches for the small alarm clock on the side table.
I thought we weren't setting alarms on this trip.
I want to see the witches.
The what?
They'll be at the stones before dawn, and I don't want to miss them.
Must I ask?
The vicar told me there's a circle of standing stones on a hill just outside the village, their own Stonehenge, as it were, and that a local group still observes rituals there.
And tomorrow, being Beltane, the witches will be out in force, I imagine.
Well, not witches, actually, although there have been witches all over Scotland for hundreds of years. They burnt them, till well years. They burnt them till well into the 18th century. But this lot is really meant to be druids, or something of the sort. I don't suppose it's actually a coven of devil worshippers or that sort of thing.
Claire snuggles into her husband's arms.
More's the pity. Can't imagine anything I'd rather do than rise before dawn to watch a coven of devil worshippers prance about in the Highlands. Where exactly will we be enjoying this spectacle?
A place called Cragnadun.
He blows out the candle. Exterior, Cragnadun, pre-dawn. The misty, flat-topped green hill abounds with natural rocks and crags that jut out here and there, but the dominant feature is artificial. A circle of standing stones smaller than their more famous cousins on the Salisbury Plain, but which still are more than twice a man's height. The henge is made of giant rocks flecked with mica, which are obviously not part of the area's natural environment. Claire and Frank, bundled against the chill, are easing themselves into a hidden vantage point where they can observe the festivities about to take place among the stones in the slowly gathering light of dawn, which is just starting to pierce the low-lying night mist.
The Reverend didn't know much of the real history of the site, or beyond the local folklore, which maintains that the stones were carried here from Africa by a race of Celtic giants.
Claire is looking around, trying to be tolerably pleasant at this hour.
I wasn't aware the Celts made a lot of visits to Africa.
Only the giant ones, it would seem. In any case, the true origin of the stones is lost to antiquity as well as their original purpose.
Claire sees something off off camera.
Is that Inverness?
Frank follows her gaze. The twinkling lights of the city are glowing in the misty western horizon. A few cars and truck headlights move along the roads. A train whistles in the distance. Even the blinking lights of an aircraft groping toward, toward an unseen landing strip in the fog, all testify to the presence of a modern city just beginning to stir.
I should think so, yes. Oh, we should take cover.
He and Claire bustle into the shadows, just as the celebrants, 15 women ranging in age from late teens to 60s, appear dressed in crude white sheets. Silently, they walk in a line through the stones, their leader guiding the way.
Is that Mrs. Graham?
They peer closer, and sure enough, it is the housekeeper.
The vicar's housekeeper is a witch.
Druid, remember?
Clara giggles softly, and then they turn their attention back to the ritual. At a signal from Mrs. Graham, the women take their places in the shadow of the stones, completely disappearing from view for the moment. The sun begins to rise above the distant mountain, sending a shaft of light across the terrain. In the circle of stones, the shaft of light perfectly bisects the space between two of the massive stones, cutting directly across the diameter of the circle and straight into the face of a woman standing there waiting in the dark. Her enormous, distorted shadow is cast back into another plinth, and as she slowly raises her arms, the image on the sloping stone face seems to reach out with clawed hands in an image both strange and threatening. The rest of the women form lines within the circle and begin to dance. Their expressions are blank, still, almost as if they were in some kind of trance. As Claire and Frank watch in fascination, the women move in and out of the geometric formations as the sun continues to rise above the distant hills.
They should have been ridiculous. And perhaps they were. A collection of women in bedsheets, many of them stout and far from agile, parading in circles on top of a hill. But the hairs on the back of my neck prickled at the sight, and some small voice inside warned me I wasn't supposed to be here, that I was an unwelcome voyeur to something ancient and powerful.
Claire's right. There is something unsettling about the ceremony, something that seems to touch into deeper chords of memory and prehistory than simple village traditions. The shadows seem filled with whispers, the night air alive with ancient sprites, something old and powerful being venerated and awakened in these hills. Suddenly she begins to hear a hum in the air. Can't make out what direction it's coming from.
You hear that?
But then the ceremony ends and the hum fades away. The single woman's shadow on the stone finally reduced to something more familiar and mortal. The sun's light now stricken the great split stone on the opposite sides of the henge. The dancers now all join the woman, and follow her in a careful line, walking through the cleft in the split stone and out down the hillside.
Fascinating.
Moments later, Frank and Claire are down amid the stones themselves, the women now gone. Frank is taking notes in his journal, sketching the stones, making them diagrams, etc. Claire, meanwhile, is more interested. Oh, is this 30? Okay, here we go.
That's still you.
Oh, it's still me. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Claire, meanwhile, is more interested in the various plants growing around the stones. One in particular catches her attention, a vine growing around the base of a stone with deep blue flowers and an orange center. She is starting to bend down to examine it closer when Frank suddenly grabs her arm and pulls her quickly into hiding behind the stone. Her question is immediately silenced by his finger on her lips, and she waits breathless for a moment before peering around the corner to see a woman has returned to the henge. Now back into her street clothes, looking more like a housewife than druid celebrant, she walks the grounds for a moment looking for something. Finally, she locates a lost hair clip in the grass. Rather than making her way back down the path, however, she decides to sit down and contemplate the beauty of the area in the quiet morning sun. Frank and Claire manage to creep away without getting her attention and make their way back down the hill unobserved. The woman stays on the hill, bathed in sunlight.
All right, and this is where we switch Andy to Sandy.
Introduction, Mrs. Baird's bed and breakfast parlor day. Later, Claire sits in an armchair, leafing through a book. Frank comes down the stairs, sees her, and comes over.
What are you doing?
Looking for that plant, the one I saw in the stone circle. It could be in the Campanuliaceae family, or the Gentianaceae, the Polymniaceae, the Boraginaceae, forget-me-nots. That's most likely. I don't think it was a gentian of any kind. The petals weren't really rounded.
Why not go back and get it? The ritual's complete. I doubt any of the celebrants will be returning. And if they did, there's nothing wrong with a visitor coming to examine the site or gather the local flora.
Care to go with me?
I have an appointment with the vicar. Going through an entire box of materials we found last night. Bills of sale from Captain Randall's own quartermaster.
Much more exciting, I'm sure. Have fun. Love you.
Love you.
They exchange quick kisses. Exterior Craignadoon day. The blue-flowered plant is tucked next to the base of a huge standing stone. Claire's hand reaches down to examine it. In the full light of day, the standing stones are far less menacing, and she's relaxed as she takes some clippings from the vine and folds them carefully in a handkerchief. Gradually, she becomes aware of that same humming, like what a beehive might produce. Claire looks around curiously. After a few seconds, she zeroes in on the source, which is not a hive, but actually the largest of the stones, the one with a huge split running down the middle. Standing right next to the stone, the humming is loud, and Claire puts a hand out to touch the smooth surface. The stone screams. Claire backpedals, falls down. The scream was unnatural, otherworldly. The world begins to vibrate in Claire's perception as her senses were suddenly aware of sound and movement not normally perceived in the natural world. All around her, sounds of battle emanate from the other stones in the hilltops. Screaming men, musketry, terrifying horses, the clang of metal weapons. Claire staggers to her feet, shaking her head in a vain attempt to clear it as the world starts to spin and tilt in her mind. The cacophony grows more intense and her vision blurs as Claire stumbles forward trying to find escape in any direction. Her uncertain footsteps take her to the cleft stone and she reaches out with a hand once more. Darkness shot through with bolts of light.
Once, traveling at night, I fell asleep in the passenger seat of a moving car, lulled by the noise and motion into an illusion of serene weightlessness. Then the driver took a bridge too fast and lost control, and I woke from my floating dream, looking into the glare of oncoming headlights and the sickening sensation of falling at high speed. That is as close as I can come to describing what I experienced. But it falls woefully short.
The world is bursting with white noise and dark light, then quiet. Exterior Craignadoon day. Claire opens her eyes. She's still lying at the foot of the cleft stone. The sun's still in the sky. She sits up and immediately notices that the stones have ceased screaming. But the noise of battle still travels through the air as Claire gets to her feet in a daze. Not sure what's going on, but sure she wants to get away from these stones. Claire scrambles away, slips and falls, ends up sliding and scrambling down the hill. Exterior woods clearing day. Claire finally comes to a stop in a small grove of trees. She sits there for a moment at the base of a tree, trying to gather her wits. A commotion from OC causes her to look up and see 3 men wearing kilts running across a clearing in the distance. The pop, pop, pop of gunshots echo across the field. Just before 6 redcoat soldiers armed with muskets come running in hot pursuit of the Scots. Claire gets a little blearily to her feet, rubs her head and neck, checking for some kind of injury.
When suddenly confronted with this impossible, the rational mind will grope in all directions, searching for logical explanations. I, myself, came to the quite reasonable conclusion that I had stumbled onto the set of a cinema company filming a costume drama of some sort. One of those Bonnie Prince and the Heather things that seem to play in every theater in London.
Just then, yelling and shouting from somewhere brings her attention back to the clearing, just as 5 Scots on horses come thundering from the opposite direction, yelling in Gaelic and heading right toward her. Claire has the presence of mind to step quickly and nimbly out of their way as they charge into the clearing. Suddenly, there's the sound of a couple of muskets firing, and a split second later, a random ball smacks the tree trunk right next to her. She gapes at the tree for a second.
But my mind could find no logical explanation for actors to fire live ammunition.
She turns and plunges into the woods on Claire's legs. As she runs through the woods, the branches and underbush lashing at her, we suddenly realize that Claire was the woman running through the woods at the top of the show. She nearly falls, steadies herself against a tree, and then is grabbed from behind. Taken unaware, she's helpless for a moment, but when her eyes focus on her abductor's face, her expression turns to outrage.
What the devil are you about? You almost gave me...
But her voice trails off as she realizes that the man standing before her is not, in fact, her husband, although the resemblance to Frank is uncanny and is played by the same actor.
You're not Frank.
Captain Jack Randall, 30s, wears a white shirt with cuffs, his long hair tied with a leather thong, his skin deeply tanned and a roughness about his features. He looks at her with a searching, piercing gaze. There's something innately dangerous about an encounter with Jack Randall, like stumbling onto a big cat alone in the woods.
No, I'm not.
Claire backs up a couple of steps as Jack Randall eyes her with interest, his gaze unabashedly taking in the clear outlines of her body beneath the sheer summer dress and lingering on her exposed legs. Claire bumps into a tree and stops just as Randall turns away and picks up a coat, a red coat, an 18th century British Army officer's coat. Ignoring her for the moment, he dresses and buckles on his sword belt.
Who the bloody hell are you?
I am, madam, Jonathan Randall, Esquire, captain of His Majesty's 8th Dragoons, at your service.
Claire turns and runs headlong into the woods. She's slashed and whipped by branches and leaves, but pays no mind at her sudden, panicked reaction. But she doesn't get very far before she's knocked down from behind by Randall, who pursued her and now pins her to the ground. She struggles, but he's much stronger and forces her back down.
Let me go.
Oh, it's like that, is it?
The more she struggles, the more it eggs Randall on. He kisses her hard, forcing his tongue into her mouth for a moment before pulling back.
You haven't the smell of dung on your skin, so you haven't been with a farmer. But for that matter, you look a bit more expensive than the local cotters could afford. I like expensive things.
He leans down again, but now Claire screams into his ear. He jerks back and she brings up a knee into his crotch. He falls off in pain and she scrambles up, but she comes face to face with a rock wall. And before Claire can find a way out, Randall is rolled to his feet and blocks her path to safety.
My husband is expecting me. He'll come looking for me if I'm not back in 10 minutes.
Randall's eyes go feral as the big cat senses his prey is cornered and flailing about.
Ah, your husband. What's his name? And why does he allow his wife to wander the woods alone in her shift?
I don't answer to you.
She tries to bolt past him, but he's faster and throws her back with a force that nearly takes her off her feet.
Skin of a lady, French scent in your hair. That could all be managed with money from your patron, but you've the speech of a lady as well.
Claire backs up, finding only the rock wall behind her. Randall advances, the time for games drawing to a close.
You intrigue me, madam. Whores are usually so dull and obvious. I look forward to plumbing your depths.
Suddenly, he's on her, and Claire is completely overpowered. Strong, powerful fingers dig into her throat and shove her against the rock, his knees forcing her legs apart and his free hand reaching below her skirt. A man comes crashing down on Randall from above, a well-placed blow to the head from a powerful fist, and Randall lies on the ground unconscious. The man, Murtagh, 30s, wears a ragged shirt and filthy kilt, with pockmarked skin and a swarthy complexion.
This way.
He grabs Claire by the arm and jerks her into the woods. Exterior hillside day. Murtagh is dragging Claire down the hillside.
Who the hell are you? Where are we going? I said, where are we?
He suddenly whirls, puts a hand over her mouth, and throws her bodily to the ground, pinning her there with his weight. She struggles, wide-eyed and expecting the worst. In the distance, we suddenly hear English voices in the distance. Claire struggles wildly, hoping to cry out for help. She bites down on Murtagh's hand, but instead of releasing her, he smashes a rock into her head.
You got one more line, Claire.
Cut to black.
I wanted it to be a dream, but I knew it wasn't.
Fade in. Exterior cottage dusk. Claire comes to on horseback, sitting in front of Murtagh, who keeps her upright on the saddle. They come to a stop outside an old cottage amid a copse of trees on a hilltop. A fine mist is in the air as they dismount, Murtagh handling her easily.
If nothing else, my erstwhile savior fairly reeked of odors too foul to be part of any dream I was likely to conjure up.
Claire doesn't protest as he unties her hands, then guides her through the door of the cottage. Interior cottage dusk. Claire's eyes take a moment to adjust to the blaze of light inside from candles, oil lamps, and a fire in the hearth of the single-room cottage. A group of rough-looking men in kilts and Highlander rigs are drinking, tending various wounds, and talking in low voices as they enter. Their bearded leader, Dougal, 40s, looks up.
What is it you have there, Murtagh?
Was that on that quiet by her speech?
Murtagh brings her to where Dougal sits by the fire, a hunk of bread in his hand. Her dress is torn in several places, and there's a fair amount of breast and thigh exposed.
I decided that clutching at the remnants of my torn dress like a frightened child would only invite more predatory interest.
Claire pulls away from Murtagh's grip and stands tall before Dougal with a calm, steady expression on her face.
Bonny one, Sassenach, no. What's your name, lass?
Claire. Claire Beecham. Using my maiden name was a spur-of-the-moment decision. If they intended to ransom me, I didn't want to lead them back to Frank.
Beecham. A French name, is it, surely?
That's right. Just what do you think you're...
Dougal ignores her as he would a child or a dog who suddenly decides to yap at him.
Where do you find her?
At the foot of the Crag na Dún, having words with a certain captain of dragoons, with whom we are acquainted.
The men in the room get the reference to Randall. Clearly, they all know him and don't think very highly of the captain.
There seems to be some question as to whether the lady was or was not a whore.
A few muttered comments as they eye her tattered garments.
And what was the lady's position in this discussion?
I am not.
That amuses the group. A large fat man, Rupert, 30s, then moves towards Claire with a leer.
We could put it to the test.
Claire refuses to shrink back from the huge bulk moving towards her, but it's an effort.
That will do, Rupert. I don't hold with rape, and we're not the time for it anyway.
Dougal, I have no idea she might be a who, but I stake my best shot as she's no whore.
Dougal looks her over one more
She's a
time.
whore.
Buzzard it out later. We've got a good distance to go tonight, and we mun do something for Jamie first. Cannot ride like that.
Dougal gets up and the men part for him as he heads over to the fire. Claire, forgotten for the moment, retreats to one of the shadows, happy to no longer be the center of attention.
Escape was my chief concern, but escape to where? I had no idea where I was, and trying to find the road back to Inverness in the dark felt like a fool's errand.
At the fire, Jamie Mackenzie Fraser, 22, a young man with a shock of red hair, sits on a stool, rocking back and forth in pain as he clutches one shoulder with the opposite hand. Dougal comes over and gently pulls away the protective hand, while Murtagh quickly cuts away the dirty, blood-soaked linen shirt with a knife. Several men gasp at the sight of Jamie's shoulder, a bloody wound still flowing freely down his chest. But the real horror is the shoulder joint itself, and the way his arm hangs at an unnatural angle.
Out of joint, Perburga.
Fell at my hand when the musket ball knocked me off my saddle. I landed with all my weight on the hand and crunch. There it went.
Claire, still trying to think in the shadows.
I tried to comfort myself with the thought that Frank would have the entire constabulary of Inverness turned out looking for me by now.
By the fire, Rupert peers at the wound.
Real no trouble. The ball went through, and it's clean. The blood running free enough. I don't know quite what to do about the disjointed though. Cannot ride with that way, can you, Jamie lad?
It hurts bad enough sitting still. I couldn't manage a horse.
Dougal ponders that for a moment, and the men all fall quiet, waiting for his decision. Claire watches them.
I recognized the faces in the room. They were hard men, not tough men whose pose is often more pretense than reality, but hard. I'd seen the faces like these in the war, faces inured to living with brutality and death every day, eyes that looked out at the world from inside deep shadows where daylight never reached. The wisest course of action was to keep my head down, my mouth shut, and wait for the search parties.
In a word yourself, I don't mean to be leaving him behind.
No help for it then. We have to try and force the joint back. Here, lad.
He uncorks a leather flask, and Jamie takes a drink, coughing and gagging at the raw spirit.
Oh, Todd, you and Charlie hold him. I give it a try.
Rupert grabs hold of Jamie's wrist as the other two get a firm grip on the young man. Jamie braces himself as Rupert gets ready to yank on the arm with all his might. But suddenly, Claire's voice cuts through the room like a clang of steel.
Don't you dare!
The men are slightly taken aback as Claire forces her way through them to get to the wounded man.
You'll break his arm off if you do it like that. Out of the way, please.
Surprisingly, they do as they're told and step back. Claire examines the shoulder professionally for a moment.
You have to get the bones of the upper arm at the proper angle before it will slip back into its joint.
She takes Jamie's wrist and pulls it up while turning the elbow in.
This is the worst part.
Cannot hurt much worse than it does. Get on with it.
Claire cups his elbow and then has to use all her strength to force the limb up, feeling for the moment it will pop back into the socket. Sweat breaks out on her forehead, and Jamie grimaces, but there's no sound in the room except the soft muttering of the fire. Finally, there's a soft crunching pop, and the arm is back in the socket. The relief on Jamie's face is immediate and obvious.
It does not hurt anymore.
The men are amazed and look at each other in wonder. Claire carefully bends the arm across Jamie's torso.
It will. It will be tender for several days. You mustn't extend the joint at all for 2 or 3 days. When you do use it again, go very slowly at first. Stop at once if it begins to hurt and use warm compresses on it daily.
Another man, Neddy, 20s, enters the cottage in the background and motions to Dougal.
Dougal,
Dougal goes to speak with him near the door.
I'm taking a guess you done this before. What say you, lassie?
Is it?
Claire.
Yeah, it's Claire.
I'm a nurse.
His eyes drop to her breasts.
Not that kind of nurse.
Near the window, Dougal and Neddy speaking in low tones.
to patrol moving this way from the south. Taking their time about it, but leaving no stone unturned.
And stay here much longer then.
Continue on, do you think?
Not with redcoats on our scent.
We didn't make many gain in our attack to be heading back so soon.
Time enough later. I will explain to Colin Bragg Stewart.
Boss Stewart.
At the fire,
The wound needs to be disinfected before it can be dressed.
Murtagh?
Disinfect.
Claire?
I thought I finished on the last page, but I'm
Nope,
pretty
you're
sure
still
that.
page mid-
No, it's we're 45, I think. So we change.
Okay. The dirt must be removed from the wound and it must be treated with a compound to discourage germs and promote healing.
Germs?
But just get me some iodine. Metheriolate. Dilute carbolic. Alcohol.
relieved at hearing a word he recognizes, Murtagh pushes a flask into her hands. She rolls her eyes a bit, but decides it's better than nothing.
This'll hurt.
It all hurts.
She pours the alcohol over the open wound, then looks about for something to dress it with.
Now, I need a sterile bandage or a piece of clean cloth.
The men look at each other blankly.
Surely there must be a single piece of clean cloth among you.
The men look at one another in a mixture of shame and confusion.
Jesus H. Roosevelt Christ.
Without other options, she seizes the hem of her dress and tears off a few wide strips. In quick order, she makes a dressing for the wound, just as Dougal pushes his way back to them.
Can you ride, lad?
Aye.
Good. We're leaving.
At that, the men start to head to the door.
Not so fast. You'll need a sling to keep that arm still.
She and Jamie both glance down at her torn hem.
Use much more of that, and you won't be leaving much to the imagination.
She shoots him a look and then begins to tear off strips from his own tattered shirt. At the door, Rupert pauses with Dougal.
What a lass.
Come with us.
Why do ye know don't leave her here?
If she's an English spy, we cannot risk leaving her here to tell them which way they've gone. And if she's no spy, well, I'll not leave a defenseless woman here on her night shift.
Colin may not appreciate ye being a guest home at this delicate time.
Leave Colin to me.
She's English, and ye know how Colin feel about having Sasquatch eye on his land, but less in his home.
It's really my brother and me. I'll thank you to stay out of it. If Colin wants to bury in the woods, then I'll no lift a finger to stop him. Ye can be sure of that.
And this is where we switch.
Dougal storms out. Exterior cottage night. A few minutes later, the men are outside the cottage and climbing onto waiting horses. Claire comes out with the white-faced and weak Jamie. Now we can see he's quite tall. Claire gapes at the view from the hilltop. The stars and the moon are out and provide a glorious display, but Claire is looking towards the distant horizon with shock.
Where is it? Where's the city? We should be able to see it from here.
Inverness, you're looking straight at it.
He points with his good hand, but now, instead of the sparkling, twinkling lights that Claire saw earlier, the city is nothing but a bunch of inky smudges just below the horizon.
The lights of the city should have been visible for miles. The electric lights, that is. There was no electric lights as far as the eye could see. In fact, I hadn't seen a single electric bulb or power cord or a socket all night. The implications of that observation chilled me to the bone.
Dougal seizes her by the arm and propels her towards a horse. One of the men is holding the bridle and whispering Gaelic reassurance into the animal's ear.
Jamie, get yourself up.
As Jamie painfully swings up into the saddle, Dougal pulls Claire closer to him.
Jamie cannot manage one-handed. You can hold the reins, but do you take care to stay close with the rest of us. Should you try anything else, I shall cut your throat. Do you understand me?
Chilled, Claire nods. Then he releases her. He bends down. She stares at him, uncomprehending.
Give me your foot.
She takes a beat, realizes that by getting on this horse, she's committing herself to something. But there's little chance at last. She steps into his hand, and he hauls her up into the saddle in front of Jamie. She can't help jostling him around in the process.
You all right?
So far, but 'tis a young night still.
He gives her an easy grin and helps her settle into place with his one good arm.
Dozens of wounded soldiers had tried to smile through their pain for my benefit, but this was different. The young man they called Jamie wasn't putting on an act, and I instantly knew he had endured terrible pain in his short life and wasn't afraid of the prospect of more to come.
Up ahead, Dougal gives a nod, and the entire party of Highlanders spur their horses as one, and they trot down the road into the darkness. Exterior woods, open terrain, riding, various shots, night. They ride quickly and silently through the woods, ducking in and out of groves of trees, and then bolting across open ground. Through it all, Claire bounces along, held firmly to her saddle by Jamie's strong legs and one good arm. Exterior roadside night. Later, the party has paused for a moment in the shadows of the side of the road, while Dougal confers with Rupert. Claire shivers, her thin cotton dress providing virtually no protection from the cold night air. Jamie drops the reins, letting the horse wander about and eat some grass, and begins to twist and turn in his saddle.
Careful! Don't twist like that or your dressing will come off. What are you trying to do?
Get my plaid loose to cover you. You're shivering.
Oh, well, thank you, but I'm fine, really.
You're shaking so hard it's making my teeth rattle.
Claire almost smiles at that, softens slightly.
I wasn't expecting a nighttime ride when I dressed today.
This plaid will keep us both warm, but I cannot do it one-handed. Can you reach to clasp my brooch?
Claire awkwardly reaches around, and with a bit of a struggle, they manage to loosen the wide plaid cloth from Jamie's shoulder.
We do not want you to freeze before we get there.
He gives it a smooth, practiced twirl, and then, as it wrapped around the two of them like a great woolen blanket. The effect is immediate, and Claire gratefully snuggles against him, soaking up the delicious warmth to ward off the chill.
Where are we going?
Tell you the truth, lassie, I don't know. Reckon we'll both find out when we get there, eh?
He grins at her, and again she's disarmed enough by his manner that she almost returns the grin. Almost. They head out once more. Exterior Highlands night. Later, Dougal leads his men through an open area of terrain, hugging the rocks and cliffs as Claire begins to recognize the rock formations up ahead.
I know this place.
Been through here before, have you?
Yes, I recognize that rock. The one that looks like a rooster tail. It has a name.
Cooknaman Rock.
Flashback. Claire and Frank riding in their open car. Cocknaman Rock. During the 17th and 18th centuries, you'd have often found a British Army patrol lying there in wait for Scottish brigands or rebels.
Sorry.
The English use it for ambushes. They could be lying in wait right now.
Jamie peers up at the rocks looming ahead.
Oh, it's a bonny place for an ambush, all right.
He spurs the horse and it leaps forward, covering the distance between them, and Dougal in a matter of seconds. Once they're closer, Jamie speaks to the leader in low, urgent tones.
The lass thinks the redcoats might use Coconuman Rock as a cover for an ambush.
The lass thinks.
Aye, and I must say it makes sense to me.
Dougal thinks for a beat, and then holds up a hand and reins his horse to a stop. The rest of the men follow suit. Dougal turns to Claire with a hard look.
Now you'll be telling exactly how and why you come to know there'll be an ambush up ahead.
I don't know, but I've heard that the redcoats use Cocknaman
Where did you hear this?
in the village.
From who did you...
But then there are flashes of light and the popping of muskets from the rocks around Cocknaman Rock, and the sound of bullets whizzing through the air around them. One man's horse is hit and goes down. Dougal reacts instantly, gives a Gaelic shout to his men, and they immediately split into two groups. Dougal, Rupert, and Nettie spur their horses to the gallop and charge directly towards the rocks, while Jamie, Murtagh, and two others wheel their mounts and circle round to the right. Claire has to hold on for her life at the horse's sudden motion, but before she can get her wits about her, Jamie grabs her around the torso with his good arm and tosses her from the horse into a bush, where she lands hard but safe. The redcoats. Hidden among the rocks, Captain Randall suddenly stands up. Fix bayonets! The men begin to fix the long blades to their weapons. Meanwhile, Randall takes careful aim at one of the Highlanders with a pistol. He fires. The bullet whizzes past Dougal's head in the darkness. Dougal leans forward, his blood up and his expression ferocious as he lets out a roar of battle. The other Highlanders pick up the yell, and the sound unnerves the redcoats as they fumble with their equipment in the dark. Port arms! The soldiers whip their muskets diagonally across their chests. The Highlanders are nearly on top of them now, and the soldiers are getting scared. Present! And they thrust the bayonets forward, the wicked tips ready for the oncoming rush. Stand fast! Stand fast! Dougal swerves away at the last second, the other two men swerving at exactly the same moment. The redcoats, mystified at the sudden change, Randall narrows his eyes for a beat, then realizing a moment too late, wheel about, they're behind! Jamie and the other Highlanders are suddenly on top of them from the rear. The redcoats are confused and scattered by the attack. Jamie leaps, falls from his horse, and crashes onto two soldiers, knocking them senseless before they know what's happening. Claire, 100 yards away from the fight, unwinds herself from the bush and the plaid, which she was swaddled in, and gets to her feet. From this distance, she can only see the flash of pistols, sparks from steel swords and bayonets clanging against one another, and hear the sounds of desperate men locked in a life-or-death battle in the dark. She turns away from the sights and sounds of the battle and strikes out on her own. Dougal and his men now re-enter the fight, adding to the violent chaos as the redcoats are forced to fight in all directions. Copse of trees. A few minutes later, Claire is struggling through trees and underbrush, trying to make headway over uneven and unfamiliar ground. She stumbles and falls, tries to keep going despite the difficulties. The fight. Rupert slashes at a redcoat soldier, dropping him in his tracks. Murtagh is locked in an intense battle with a redcoat who knows exactly how to use his bayonet. Dougal going sword to sword with a sergeant.
That's where we switch Andy to Athena.
Jamie dispatches a redcoat, then suddenly, and
Yeah,
then
briefly
is
gets
suddenly confronted with Jack Randall. There's a moment of recognition between the two men.
All right, Vicky,
You!
that's Athena.
Okay.
Athena, you get Andy here.
And Jamie snarls and takes a step toward Randall, but suddenly 2 redcoats charge at him with bayonets from his blind side just as Murtagh appears and attacks Randall. The upshot being that both Jamie and Randall lose sight of one another in the confusion of the fight. Randall ends up pitching headfirst down some rocks, being knocked unconscious. Murtagh ignores him and rejoins the fight. Jamie dispatches the redcoats and whirls around, searching for Randall. He spots him at the bottom of the hill, unconscious. With a snarl, he starts to move toward him, but Dougal lays a heavy hand on him.
No time for that now, lad.
Jamie has little choice. With a last glance down at Randall's form, Jamie heads off with Dougal. Exterior. Crossroads. Night. A short time later, Claire is having a hard time of it. It's easy to get disoriented, and she ends up changing direction more than once. Finally, she comes to a stop at what appears to be a crossroads, with a few rough paths coming together. She looks up at the brilliant night sky, hunting through the stars. Her
North Star will be over there.
Claire jumps back with a startled yell and finds Jamie pointing to the sky from a short distance away.
Didn't mean to frighten you.
Claire, refusing to admit that, pulls herself up and adopts her best tone of the hospital scold.
Hope you haven't been misusing that shoulder.
Yon wee stramash do not do it any good.
Claire then notices fresh blood across his shirt. She quickly moves to him, her instincts taking over.
You're hurt. Have you broken open your shoulder wound, or is it fresh? Sit down and let me see.
He does as he's told, sitting on a rock and letting her look him over.
This lot isn't my blood. Not much of it anyway.
Oh,
Dougal and the others will be waiting by the road. Let's go.
He takes her by the arm and moves to leave, but she decides to make her stand here.
no, I'm not going with you.
Jamie isn't vexed at all, looks at her with slight amusement.
Yes, you are.
And what if I won't? Are you going to cut my throat?
I know. You don't look heavy. If you won't walk, I shall pick you up and sling you over my shoulder. Do you want me to do that?
No?
Claire immediately regrets the note of alarm in her answer. She retreats into her professional mien once more.
I mean, you can't do that. You'll damage your shoulder again.
Well then, since you don't want me to hurt myself, I suppose it means you're coming with me.
There's that grin again, and Claire realizes that she really doesn't have any options here. Keeping her head held high, she walks with him back into the trees. Exterior. Creek. Night. A few minutes later, Jamie and Claire have rejoined Dougal and the others near a small creek. The men are in good spirits, laughing and talking in the dark about the fight as they mount their horses. They all seem to be accounted for, so evidently they got the better of the redcoats. Jamie swings up onto their horse, and Claire scrambles aboard once more. This time, he grunts in pain as she bumps his bad shoulder.
Serves you right. Brawling around the countryside and chasing through bushes and rocks. You've probably got torn muscles as well as bruises.
Well, it wasn't much of a choice. If I'd not moved my shoulder, I wouldn't have ever moved anything else again. I can handle a single redcoat with one hand, maybe even 2 of them, but not 3. Besides, You can fix it for me again when we get where we're going.
That's what you think.
Rupert rides over, lifts a flask and salutes.
Ow! Sorry.
Here to you, lassie, for take out to the villain in the rock and give us a bit of fun.
The men cheer and they drink up from hidden flasks. Claire isn't all that moved by the celebration. Jamie pulls out his own flask and hands it to Claire.
Better have a wee nip. It will not fill your belly, but it will make you feel that you're hungry.
He hesitates, but then takes the nip, grateful for the heat it generates within. Exterior, moors, night. The party is riding quietly but quickly through the moors, expertly avoiding the boggy areas of water and staying in the heather. Claire is exhausted beyond caring as she bounces along.
I had no idea where we were going. I'd never had a sense of direction in the dark and never learned from Frank his trick of navigation by the stars.
Flashback. Claire and Frank walking together at night. They're on the street in the village, arm in arm. He points up to the stars overhead as he talks about navigating at night. She's not really listening, but smiles warmly at him.
Thinking of Frank made me want to cry. And I tried to distract myself, trying to make sense of the day's events. I was still looking for rational explanations, but there were none. The truth was, as much as my rational mind rebelled against the very idea, I knew in my heart that I was no longer in the 20th century.
Behind her, Jamie's eyes flutter, and he begins slumping over in the saddle. Claire awkwardly tries to grab him, but can't hold him.
Stop! Help! He's going over!
They rein in, and Murtagh and Rupert jump down just in time to catch Jamie as he tumbles out of the saddle. They ease him to the ground as Claire leaps down to quickly check his vitals. Dougal and the other men gather round in concern.
He has a pulse. He's breathing. I think he's just fainted. Put a saddlebag under his feet, and if there's water, bring me some.
Murtagh and Nettie quickly carry out her instructions as Dougal leans down for a better look at Jamie.
The gunshot wound has been bleeding again, and the idiot's been stabbed as well. I don't think it's serious, but he's lost a lot of blood.
Dougal turns to the others, says a few brief words in Gaelic, and then they tend to the horses. Claire works with what little she has, essentially tearing more strips from her dress to make a new dressing for his knife wound. Jamie begins to stir. He opens his eyes, his features pale and drawn in the moonlight.
I'm all right, just a wee bit dizzy.
You are not all right. Couldn't you tell how badly you were bleeding? You're lucky you're not dead, tearing around the countryside, brawling and fighting and throwing yourself off horses.
He tries to put the bandages in place, but the jury-rigged dressings tend to slip away under her fingers.
No, come on now, you goddamn bloody bastard!
The other men literally stop and look at her in shock.
Never heard a woman use such language in all my life.
Your husband should tell ye, woman. St. Paul say, let a woman be silent, and...
You can mind your own bloody business, and so can St. Paul. Turn him to the left. And if you move so much as one single muscle while I'm tying this bandage, I'll throttle you.
Oh, threats, is it? After I shared my drink with ye.
Dougal leans down with his own flask.
No more spirits. He needs tea, or worse, water. Not alcohol.
Dougal pours the whiskey down Jamie's throat anyway.
And your businesswoman. We've a good way to go yet tonight, and he'll need whatever strength the drink can give him.
He needs rest.
We're a good 15 miles yet to go. 5 hours at the least, and most likely 7. We'll stay long enough for you to stop the bleeding and dress the wound again. No much more than that.
Dougal moves off, ending the conversation. Claire's eyes flare, and she starts to go after him. But Jamie stops her with a word.
Randall won't give up so easily.
Randall. The name cuts through Claire, and she gasps slightly. She quickly tries to regain her composure.
He'll have patrols out in every direction by now. We cannot stay here.
You know Randall. Black Jack Randall, that is.
I won't risk you or anyone else being taken prisoner by that man. If ye cannot fix me well enough to ride, then you'll all be leaving me here with a loaded pistol so that I may determine my own fate.
Claire takes a beat and applies herself to his wounds.
You could have at least told me you were stabbed before you fell off the horse.
'Twas a bayonet. Felt it go in, but it did not hurt at the time.
Does it hurt now?
Aye.
Good.
Jamie's chuckle turns to a grunt as she cinches up the wound.
That's all I can do right now. The rest is up to you.
Thank you, Sassenach. Truly.
She looks into his eyes and is caught for a moment by the sincerity and strength she sees in the young Highlander. Then she gruffly covers her reaction.
On your feet, soldier.
She gives him a hand and he accepts her help. Exterior, hill, dawn. Dougal leads the tired party over a hill and down a road. A heavy mist hangs over the area. Jamie is still in the saddle, if only barely. Claire isn't in much better shape.
The rest of the night passed in a haze of half-sleep verging on delirium. Then, finally, we neared our destination.
A large structure of some sort rise up out of the thick morning mists. Claire's bleary eyes try to focus on the shape. Finally, she's able to make it out.
Castle Leoch.
Flashback. Claire getting out of the car with Frank and looking up at the castle ruins from the same perspective. Resume. The castle, now a thriving hub of activity, is directly ahead. People are on the road, coming and going to the castle entrance, few of them paying any attention to Claire's party.
I'd been here with Frank only yesterday. Or was that in the future? How could I remember something that hasn't happened yet?
Dougal leads the band across the bridge and into the castle.
So far, I've been assaulted, threatened, kidnapped, and nearly raped, and somehow I knew that my journey had only just begun.
Fade out. End of episode.
Nice job, y'all.
Nice job. Awesome. That was
What do you
great.
think? All right, if you
Great
want
job, everybody.
Yep.
I need to head off, but have a good
All
night.
right. Have a good
Bye,
night.
Chris.
Bye,
All right.
Chris.
Hi, Chris.
We're going to take a short break for those who can stay, and we'll discuss it. First up, though, I wanted to let you know what's next on our schedule. Vicky, you said it was
Murder on the Orient Express.
Ooh, that's a good movie. That's a really
Yes,
good
it
movie.
is. That's an amazing
Are we doing
movie.
the original or the remake?
It's a 1974 script.
so
Okay.
not the Kenneth
Oh,
Branagh
okay.
one.
Okay.
Mhm.
Cool.
That
That's
one.
awesome. I will be there. So if I do not say I'm going to be there, I'm letting you know right now, Kat, that I will be there.
Right, we're doing it in two
Very
parts because it's a film. So we'll do
Yes.
half one week and then half the next week. But
All right. I might just take off, but
all
that
right,
was
thanks,
awesome.
Aubrey.
Yeah,
All right,
I'm
you're
gonna
welcome.
go too. I have to eat dinner, so
Pretty much.
thank you for having me. I enjoyed it. So
Thank you, Sandy.
Bye.
thank
You did
you.
great, Sandy.
Bye, Aubrey.
Thank you.
The
Take care.
script was lovely. I really enjoyed it. Real quick, just so you know, like I thought it was fantastic. I love the history behind it, and it's really fun to play it. So
For
thank
sure.
you.
Bye,
All right,
guys.
good night, you. Mhm.
Bye.
All right.
Well, this is my first virtual table read, and I really liked listening to Sandy and Aubrey. And Vicky, you have such a great, you do Frank wonderfully.
Oh, thank you. I have
It
fun.
was fun. Yep. So yeah, we do this most Tuesdays, not every Tuesday. In the summer, it gets a little bit more lax because I don't have as much free time in the summer to host. So, but then come fall, we'll have much more around too. So we tend to alternate between TV and film. So, so film because they're longer and because of the time zone, not everyone can be up as late, especially if you're on the East Coast. So we divide those into 2 sessions. But yeah, I'm glad you could join us this time.
Thank you. I forgot that I met you in a local Facebook group, so I was like, no one's gonna know where Port Orchard is. And then you said Gig Harbor. I was like, that's right.
There was
Oh,
okay. Yeah, it's I can't remember which group, but
Hip Hop Theater Artists, I think,
oh,
is
that
where,
one. Okay.
because I'm
All
not
right.
in as many like region wide ones, just because I drive a lot for work. I don't want to drive any more than I have to.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to make it very, very local.
Oh, cool. Yep. No, I knew exactly where Port Orchard is. It's about
Yeah.
10 minutes from my house, 20 maybe.
Yeah. I basically, for people who live on the other side, I just say, if you know where Tacoma is, you know where Gig Harbor is. And it's just the next town past that. So,
Mhm. Always fun to meet someone
very
local.
cool.
So, yeah. Um, I really like this script. I hadn't actually seen any episodes of Outlander before. Before today, actually, I actually watched it this morning, and I watched episode 2 also. I figured I could fold laundry while doing it, right? Oh,
yeah.
okay. I'm about to have an invasion of cat. Oh,
Oh, yeah. I had one come attack me midway. I thought
mhm.
about watching it, but I was worried I was going to attempt accents and I don't have any voice training. So I was like,
Oh,
don't
that's
try
okay.
it.
As you can
Don't
see,
try
we
it.
really butchered accents this evening. So,
No,
except for Sandy, who did her lovely English accent. Um,
it's like, it's almost like a Scottish Lowlands in the way that it's just a teensy bit lilty. It was nice.
mhm. So yeah, it was fun. Um, I like the premise though that somehow you get back in time and have to figure out how to. Well, you're going to eventually have to figure out how to get back to your own time if that's possible. But
Or
uh,
do you?
or do you? Yeah, we don't know, right? Not in this first episode. No idea if she'll ever get back. They go for 8 seasons, so I'm assuming she doesn't get back for a while if she ever gets back. So
Or
eight
does she?
seasons though, yeah. You know, they
No
did mention that.
spoilers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they mentioned that two
Geez,
marriage line in the hand. Hmm.
you're trying to trick us.
I don't know. I honestly don't know the answer. So, like I said, I only watched the first 2 episodes. So, but I thought it was intriguing how we mentioned the lines. Frank noticed that he was drawing the lines in her hand, and then the Reverend's wife, Mrs. Graham, also mentioned the lines in her hand. So, figured that's going to be prominent later. So we'll see. I was really sad that when I watched the episode this morning, that line about the quality of mercy is not strained. It's a line from Merchant of Venice. They left it out of the actual uh, finalized version, which makes me sad because I love Shakespeare, but I can see
Is
why
it
they
in
cut
the
it.
court scene?
In the when Frank says to her that she might have slept with a Scot while she was um, in
In the
in the field
in the
hospital.
Merchant of Venice. Is it in the court scene?
Yeah, it's when um oh my goodness,
Or
I'm forgetting.
uh,
Portia? Yeah, Portia is masquerading as a lawyer. Mm-hmm. Yep. So
oh,
very famous
I'll have to
scene.
message you on Facebook. I might be auditioning for Shakespeare in the Alley.
Fun.
So it might be good to get connected with your other group. We have 2 separate live community theaters that are trying to get off the ground here, but they're kind of tangled up in various, I don't
Politics?
know. No, probably it feels that way to them. But just, there was like gasoline station rehabilitation. So Western Washington Community for the Arts got kind of kicked out of its building
Mm.
after Biden's it's confusing because it's like ERA or EPA, but his like stimulus package for environmental things. So that building got kind of shut down. It's right on the waterfront, if you recall. And then another theater of ours has like 2 sections. One is a screened theater for like they usually play indie films. Whoever ends up owning it changes hands every like 10 years. And then upstairs, there's a live theater that a Gig Harbor troupe tried to move into when their Gig Harbor troupe got shut down. But then the one with the actual cinema slopes below the water table, and
Oh.
it's a little bit like Seattle, where like we're
Mm.
kind of just on fake dirt. So they're having to do a lot of mitigation and stuff like that. So both of our community theaters, they're within like a mile of each other, within like a mile of me, but they can't open right now just because there's, so many different things going on.
Aw.
But WWCA is trying to make the best of it. And they're going to do like Shakespeare in the Alley and one of those like compilation 90 minutes of Odysseus or something like that things to just sort of make the best of it.
Oh, what's a kitty's name?
This is Mordecai.
Aw.
He is like a double rescue. He got rescued and he turned out to be a grumpy butt that only likes dogs and not cats. And so he's my accountability cat to where like I can't get other cats because he's the one cat family guy.
Oh, only one cat. I can't imagine what that's like. I haven't had only one cat since I was like 12.
Yeah, it's a little odd, but it works.
He's so cute.
He's strong.
He's so strong. Last year, okay, so that I need to weigh him. But like 3 years ago, he was like 13 pounds.
Oh.
And then last year in the middle of summer, he was 7 pounds because he had like runaway diabetes. And I caught it early because I knew all the symptoms and all that kind of stuff. And I walked in and I said, I think my cat has diabetes. And they tested him for all the other things that those symptoms say. And we couldn't help him with it because I was really bad at injecting him because I misunderstood directions. And yeah, I got trained like every month and a half on how to do injections. And then finally it sunk. But like, if he'll let me pick him up, he's he's doing pretty good now. But you could like see his hip bones and his shoulders. So
He might be 13 pounds in his butt. Sorry.
yeah, and I joke that he's kind of like one of those like junkyard dogs now. Like he's just so like in your face.
Leroy Brown.
Yes, absolutely.
Fattest cat in the junkyard town.
Mhm. Oh, and he likes like firm like
Firm
he
pet.
likes firm pats, yeah. And he really likes tummy scritches.
I've got a cat that likes tummy scritches and another likes firm pats, but they're not the same cat.
Yeah, he will actually like he also doesn't mind being held like a baby. But if I'm just kind of not paying attention to him and I like kind of touch my face, he'll grab my hand and then pull it in. I'm just like, okay, all right. Message received. Come on. Meow.
Cool. So have the two of you actually seen this show?
Moments. I've never seen a whole episode, and yeah.
I have seen so I'm on the last season right now. I'm like 2 episodes into the last season. And there's certain shows that like I kind of put on in the background when I do like house chores. Game of Thrones, so comforting. And Outlander, I'll also do like Magicians, just because it's like I've already kind of seen it, and then I can take a little pause, like, oh, that's cool. They're on a sailboat right now. Oh, and then get back to folding the laundry or whatever it is. So,
Yep. My go-to show for doing things like that is Lord of the Rings. I just put it on the director's cut, and then, especially if I'm sick and I can't do much, I don't have to get up and change the channel too often, and change the
Yeah.
disc in this case. Because I still have DVDs.
oh no, I wish I had DVDs. There's some shows I avoid kind of like on principle. But if I had DVDs of them, I might watch them. So
Game of Thrones is also on DVD, so I've got that one too. This one, though, I have to stream because I don't have this one. So I had to actually download Netflix to watch it. So Oh, I hear cat
Sure.
in the background.
I'm sure once it's been completed for like 1 to 5 years, they'll release a really nice box set or something. So just let it simmer.
Can you hear that?
Yeah, it sounds like an owl or a
That would be my snuggly cat versus the tough cat trying to
mm.
jostle for position. Come on, boys. Knock it off. Where are you guys? I think they're hiding on top of the bookcase. Whereas the sister is down below, just being quiet. So if things start crashing in a minute, that's what's going on. It's a cat fight in the background.
They start pushing things around. It's so funny.
Hmm. Oh yeah, until they go crash and break. But
They're
they're living up to their
specific.
names. One of them is Sir Rex-a-Lot, and the other one is Captain Chaos. So I guess it's my fault for naming them that way. Sorry. I'm gonna have to mute for just a second, make sure they don't kill each other, but I'll be right.
I think
Vicky, where did you? Oh, go ahead.
it's fitting to have a cat battle at the end of this educational talk, which is why we do the talk at the end. Our premise is that this group is for educational purposes. And when we talk about things at the end, and hopefully it is about the script we just read at least a little
Yes,
bit,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
we fit that. This group has been around, we're halfway through our 5th season.
Of doing table read Tuesdays, or okay. Oh, so
Table
this is the 5th time this
5th year.
script has been read in table read Tuesdays.
Yeah, we started in, well, COVID, which is what started all the Zoom reading groups. And Kat and I kept it going. The initial founders, they got busy and we said, we'll take over. I've been there since the beginning, and Kat, not long after the beginning.
Probably year 2.
Yeah,
Maybe year 3.
yeah, I think it was in year 2. I think it was Heather that brought you in, or no, I think just because Heather and I read with the Shakespeare group, you eventually came on board.
Something like that, yes. It took a while because I used to take auditions. So, and I'm like, oh, I don't have a reel. I don't have a reel.
Right. You
So
used
that's
to have to do a little audio audition tape, just on your phone. Yeah.
just so that we have an idea what people sound like. So when you have a brand new actor this time, I'm like, I have no idea what they're going to sound like. We'll just have to take a chance.
Yeah.
Oh, I was so frazzled when it was. I looked this morning before you put anything out, and it said 6, and I was like, "Oh no!"
Yeah.
I just put my name in the hat so I could maybe do actions and directions, and there's only 6 people. Uh-oh.
Yeah, my first show I think I read with this group was a British show, and all the characters had British accents except for one. Right, one of the leads had a more of an Indian from India accent, and so I practiced up my British accents, thinking I'm going to get cast in a small part, right? And I was going to be cast in the small part, but then their lead person dropped out, and they said, "Oh, well, Kat's coming in. We'll give her that." I'm like, the only accent that isn't British. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to butcher this thing so horribly.
What?
I could have done a British accent, pretty well. But after all that Shakespeare, right? But no, it was an Indian accent. I'm like, oh.
Did you give it a go, or did you just?
Oh, I did. I
take-
gave it a try, but mostly it was just going to be in English with an English, it was the normal
Yeah.
American English accent.
No, she did very, very good.
So, but yeah, it was fun. And I would have been a much better Scottish accent today, but I think Aubrey started out with an Irish one, and
Oh,
when I hear in one accent, it's really hard for me to jump into a different accent. I
Yeah.
can't. My brain can't shift that fast auditorily.
Mm.
So, yeah, it was. If someone else had started speaking with a Scottish accent, I probably could have done it. But Yeah, it's just jumping from one accent to another, especially if there's multiple in a show, is pretty tough
Yeah.
or tough.
You served Jamie's accent well. I think you did fine.
So
And
it
so
got better
did
at the
you.
end. It got better at the end. So it's the O's. It's a no versus and then the I's are where it will get me too. It's a little more lilting when it's Irish and a little bit higher on the pitch. And I got confused because there was a they had dinner as a do not or did not written in
Yeah.
somewhere, but then they also said does not, and it didn't it sounded more Irish than English or than Scottish rather.
Right.
I
But
think if there's like a certain speed or percussion to it, I have
Mhm.
not taken any voice coaching, voice acting. This is just kind of like, but if there's like a certain speed or percussion to it, it kind of like gives it a little bit more Highlander,
Mhm.
which I'll be horrified if this ends up on YouTube and some voice acting coach is like, but and then with the Irish one, it seems like a little gentler slash like its harshness is undulating.
Yeah, it lifts up a lot more. It lifts up a
Yeah.
lot more when you're Irish. You get that sort of lilt up in the up. A lot of phrases end on an up note versus
Oh,
an up note.
Yeah.
fiddly-dee.
Yes.
It's
Are
more
you
like a
into studying?
song.
Are
What's
you
that?
into studying Irish accents?
Not so much per se, but again, when the pandemic started, we, Duolingo, right? So I decided to do Welsh, Irish, and Scottish all at once. And so I got to hear the differences between them really, really clearly, but I haven't been doing it for a while. And
Welsh is hard. Oh my
Welsh is
God.
really hard, much harder than Irish and Scottish Gaelic. Much. Especially there's still some sounds I can't pronounce. The double L, it's supposed to sound like an S, kind of. And then so many extra vowels, W and Y, and then lots of consonants that you don't need. And yet there's, that they make sounds like BH becomes V, sort of, and double D sounds like TH. And
I think maybe His Royal Highness, like the current King of England, might have like delivered his first public speech in Welsh and kind of made it like a point. Like it was kind of his, you know, this is, you wanted me to be raised like the Prince of Wales. I might be mixing up my monarchs and stuff, but I
No, you're
think
right.
there's actually, yeah, okay. Okay. I thought that was really interesting. It's kind of, like Canada having its first francophone uh national delivery or something like that. So
In Welsh, I find it to be it's poetic in a way.
mm,
Yeah, yeah.
well, it's the oldest Celtic language on the Isles, Welsh, and then the Scottish comes actually from the Irish. The Irish went over to what is now Scotland, and took that part over essentially from the native Britons. So you have this sort of migration, and of course some of the Scottish and Irish went to France, which is why you have Brittany, or Western France at that time. So yeah, it's a lot of language migration going on there. So and even within England, I mean, England is so small compared to the United States, and they have dozens and dozens of regional accents. You can picture whether someone's coming from South England versus, north near the border or somewhere in the Midlands, and even within there, county by county, they're slightly different, and they can tell the difference apart.
oh yeah.
Oh,
Can't.
yeah.
Oh
I
yeah.
I have no hope. I can kind of guess whether you're from the very south or the very north, but that's about it.
Couldn't even try. I might be able to be like, oh, that's a Hackney or something like
Hmm.
the most.
And I always wondered too when they have, because when I watched the episode, I was really surprised to see that some of the characters were speaking in Gaelic, because also that's not an easy language to learn. And I'm assuming that these actors either were native speakers or had some training in Gaelic as a youth, because it'd be really hard to imagine them having to learn all that from scratch, which they may have done. Having
Yeah.
a voice coach there for
Right.
that, because you don't always get actors with the right regional accents to show up for a part.
Well,
I remember
who
watching. Oh, go
who
ahead.
does Outlander? It's Amazon Prime.
It's on Netflix at the moment. I couldn't get it on Amazon Prime, so.
Well, I think basically though, like whoever produced it kind of has deep pockets in general, so I could see them having those resources.
Yeah.
I remember watching a Stargate Atlantis episode, and they tend to have they have a doctor that speaks, I think, Scottish, might be Irish, with an accent. But in the show, he has a much stronger accent than he speaks in real life. And we went to one of those conventions, and he's using his known or natural voice, and they're like, no, 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 we want the accent. So he had to go back into the thicker accent to please the fans at the convention,
Yeah.
which I thought was interesting.
And I would think that they would have a voice coach. I've had voice coaches in different plays, and it was amateur theater. So you just never know.
Yeah.
It's who's available. And yeah.
So it's fun. I try and look up just at least the highlights of what an accent consists of. And it's like I said, the rhythm makes a lot of difference there.
Oh, yes.
I think the Scottish is a little bit slower than the Irish, and a lot less sing-songy than the Welsh. But it's fun trying. I mean, that's the whole reason I got into doing accents, was reading scripts, and particularly one Shakespeare script that has a Welsh character. She has no written lines in the script. It just says in the script, the lady speaks in Welsh. And then the other characters are translating what she is saying. But they obviously had a Welsh actor speaking Welsh during the performance of the play.
Yeah.
And so modern playwrights or modern performances, when they do that script, sometimes there is an actual maybe not a translation per se, because we don't know exactly what the lady said because it's never written down in Shakespeare scripts, but they can approximate what she said based on the translations of what the other characters are saying that she's saying. And so I found a copy of that, and then tried to pronounce those words, and that was really, really hard. But it was super fun, and I thought, well, that's kind of what inspired me to go look at how to do those three languages, the Welsh, the Irish, and the Scottish, just so I could read those lines out loud in the play. So,
Well, practice can do a lot. The more you try, the better you get. And here, it's a perfect place to experiment and give that accent a try and give those voices a try. Nobody's going to criticize you. It's all accepted with love. And we send that out to the audience who is watching us. You're watching us, right?
This whole conversation, they're dying to know more about cats.
I don't know, but yeah, and I love the setting. Oh my gosh, like I have no idea where exactly. It's Scottish Highlands somewhere. I don't know where exactly, but it kind of has that nice craggy outlook on the rocks, like they mentioned in the show. I don't think that's actually Cocknaman, but it doesn't look quite like a cock's tail.
Yeah.
But
It's not far off.
yeah, it's got to be somewhere nearby.
That could be like, there's a famous sawtooth in Montana or Wyoming, but there's also like a sawtooth or something in Colorado. It could be that. It could be Iceland. It could be Newfoundland.
It could be Norway.
Well, actually, yeah, I don't think Newfoundland is like that sharp. It's more smooth.
Yeah.
Smooth.
Well worn.
Yes. Oh my gosh, for sure. It takes a beating. Well, I'm gonna pop off. Thank you
right.
guys so much. I don't know if I'll make it to the Orient Express.
I'm not
Um,
sure if it's next week or the week after. Is it next week, Vicky?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, the 2nd and the 7th. And just to let you know what's after that,
Oh,
I
look
have
at
a
she's got it all in
calendar
there.
here. July, we're doing Remedial Chaos on the 14th of July. And, ooh, Doctor Who on the 28th. Time of Angels. Oh, do try.
like the like those episodes, the
Yep.
Weeping Angels ones.
Yes,
Oh,
right? And we're having a poll for June 16th. I don't think we've picked what we're putting in the poll
We had
yet.
4 choices, I think, on the calendar. I'll have to take a look
Oh,
and
I
see.
didn't write it down.
Mhm.
Uh-oh.
That's
But
okay.
you
I have it written
did.
down. Yes.
That's why this works, because one of us will write it down.
well, I will try to message both of you to just try and anchor myself in a little bit better to the group and force it into my algorithm. But thank you for chatting.
Thank
Okay.
you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. I gave Haley a private message to let her know about Murder on the Orient Express, because she expressed the fact that she just loves that. And I know she's really busy, but
When we get
maybe
lucky,
we'll
we'll
have
let her
Haley.
know. All right. That'd be nice. All right. I need to get some dinner going here too. So,
Yes, I need to eat.
yep. I've had like 2 meals the last week, 2 meals a day instead
Oh,
of 3. Well, I've been
oh
out
no.
busy dancing over Memorial Day weekend. I got in maybe 16 to 20 hours of dancing. So,
Right.
which is nice, a lot of fun. My feet hurt, my legs hurt, I can barely walk. But it was fun. I only do it that much once a year, so.
Oh, that's wonderful. I'm so glad you got back into that.
Oh
That
yeah,
was, yeah, that was just, yeah, great.
it was great. I got to do Irish Ceilidh, Irish set, Scottish Ceilidh, English country, and lots of contra, a little bit of French dancing, a little bit of
Ooh.
klezmer contra, and a little bit of international folk dance. So
Oh, I love it.
that was a great weekend.
I wish I lived closer to Gig Harbor. I would get
Oh, this is
involved.
up in Seattle. I had to drive for it, but it was
Oh,
it's a they do it every year. It's the in a folk life Northwest Folk Life Festival.
oh,
Um,
excellent.
yeah, they have, and it's not just dancing. I mean, they have musicians coming from all over. They have theater performances. They have indigenous powwows. They have ghost stories. They have another storytelling. They have workshops where they make stuff. They have kitchen demonstrations. Huge event, and it's all
Wonderful.
technically, obviously it costs money, but it doesn't cost anything to attend because it's all sponsored with donations and grants and things.
Oh,
So yeah, it was fun. It was a good relief from everything else that's going on in the world.
yeah. Yeah, find the fun stuff and do that. Focus on fun.
All right. Well, I'm going to call it a night and I will get that event page up and we'll get reading Orient Express next week. I'm so excited.
Me too.
All right. Good night, Vicky.
Talk soon. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.